What is the biggest thing now, since you're at the end of this career? What's the biggest thing or the most important thing that firefighting taught you?
One of the biggest things, I mean, it's kind of like, I think everybody should know this, how blessed we are in this country, how, you know, I think on one hand we take for granted. Yeah, it's one of those police and fire get taken for granted because they're always there. And that's the whole point. They're always there.
Right.
But, and after 9/11, there was that awareness again of how important, and so
but you knew all along that it's a blessing to have these people around to take care of us, because they're sort of silently in the background until we need us. I totally get that.
Yeah. They're like an insurance policy.
Sure, absolutely.
You may only use it once every 20 years, but
when
man,
it's
when
needed,
you need it.
Yeah, it's important to have there.
Yeah.
Okay, I want you, there is some little girl who is watching right now, and I want you to speak to her. What do you want her to do? If she thinks this is cool, she thinks this is interesting, how can you encourage her? What do you want to tell her?
I kind of think that the thought of somebody as a child looking at it, they might be wowed by, you know, the rigs and stuff like that.
Yep.
But you have to have kind of a heart for service, because even though we get paid to do it, sometimes it's very hard.
Yeah.
So you have to have a heart for service of wanting to do it. Then just a realization, it's a dirty job. We get really grubby.
Yeah.
We're out in any kind of weather where smart people would be home,
just not
snuggled
on, like,
in the
a
house.
beautiful day like today. Yeah.
Well, they always tease that the smart people are running out of the fires and the firemen are running in, because, you know, that's what's happening. You're going into a dangerous situation where everybody else is running out. So, you know, just realizing all those factors, and that if you really thought you wanted to go this route, if you begin to take EMT classes,
prepare yourself,
that get you your fire science courses, anything that gets you a taste of what it's like.
Staying in shape.
Yeah,
that's kind of important.
A lot, because you cannot even apply until you're 21. If you became a volunteer at 18, they'll take it 18-year-olds for volunteers.
Yeah.
If you started doing that in your own community or something, it would give you a feel for
if this is really what you want to do.
Yeah, and I think those would just give you a taste of what it's really about and that. So. All
right. Well, I find you incredibly inspirational, and I really appreciate that you were the first woman to be hired by Des Moines Fire Department. I hope that inspired you as well. We are going to watch her throw on all of this gear. She has to do it fast, and it's really, really heavy. You're going to be amazed by her. So just tell me really quickly, timing. How quickly do you have to react and get all this gear on?
We try, you know, you're shooting for like 10, 15 seconds so that you just pull it on and get in the rig, because you can get en route and kind of adjust things, you know, like their gloves.
You got to jump in your boots and pull up and...
Yeah, when we drill, where we're putting everything on head to toe, your 60 seconds, we're supposed to have everything
1 minute
adjusted, the gloves on and all that. So you train that way, because that would be like en route to the fire, you know, some of it you get to finish.
Right.
So yeah, so that's what we train for. Yeah, getting on the basics, and then you get in the cab and get en route, and because the air pack, you know, is either buckled in the seat and you put it on en route, or it's in a compartment and you put it on when you arrive. So.
Holy cow, that is so much stuff, and you have to put it on so quickly. The thing that you put on the back, what is that, like an oxygen thing?
It's called an air pack, so it's compressed air.
Okay, so that, I thought you were going to hit your head.
No, for lots of practice doing that. You know, the smoke and heated gases are what most people die of. So that's like one of our most valuable pieces of equipment that we personally take in.
I told you she was amazing. She's definitely inspiring me. Wow. Up next, you are going to enjoy a little bit of encouragement from New Heights Counseling. We'll be back right after this.
Welcome to your New Heights Counseling Minute. I'm Jessica Romy.
And I'm Jim Wilwarding. If you consider your life story like a book, your plot may have many twists and turns, a few surprises, and even some dark times.
Many great authors begin by writing their final chapters first. So what do you want your story to end up like? What do you want your list of accomplishments to be? What do you want others to say about you and the impact of your life when it's all said and done?
Today's chapter may not end on the positive note that we thought it would. At that point, it's a good idea to remember that we can turn the page and start a new chapter. What are you going to write about? What can we say about today's chapter to turn those stories into triumphs?
As we do this, even our darkest moments can turn into our greatest victories and our accomplishments. So what are you writing about today?
This is Jim Wilberding and Jessica Romey from New Heights Counseling, a place to grow, to heal, and to reach new heights.
I am ready to talk to my final amazing and inspirational woman. Her name is Alicia Claypool. She is the chair of the Iowa Civil Rights Commission. I got that right, right? And we're going to talk a little bit about her passion for standing up for the underdog, is what I'm calling it. But I wanted to ask you, first of all, what's it like being in charge of a bunch of guys?
Well,
I threw that one at you without you expecting it, but I just wanted to know.
well, the Civil Rights Commission is composed of lay people who are appointed by the governor.
Okay.
And so the
So there's a little
law
mix.
requires that there has to be a balance of male and female,
Okay.
as well as political party. So the commission is about half and half.
Okay.
The director is a male, but the previous director was a female.
Yep.
And there have been male and female directors of the commission, and the staff, I couldn't tell you what the composition of the staff was.
Okay, so having said that, you still are in a position of power, and you're still, you know, a woman just like everyone else. So what is it like being in that kind of position?
Well, I don't think of it as a position of power. I think of it more as a position of responsibility. Our job on the Civil Rights Commission is to enforce civil rights law, but also to study what the needs of the state are with regard to civil and human rights, and then to come up with recommendations and try to find solutions to those problems. So I don't really see that as a power
Okay.
thing, but it is an opportunity to be able to make a difference nonetheless, because you do have access, because you are sort of representing state government, to be able to talk to people and to be able to at least get them to take your call and listen to what you have to say.
And that totally answers my question, because by thinking about it responsibility, you're not thinking about what you have to say, because you know that there are other people that aren't in the room that you're representing, and that's important. So you didn't arrive at this place overnight.
Right.
And we did talk beforehand, so I wanna, and I loved the stories that you told me. But you know, when you were in college, that was the first window into what the stage that you're in today. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yes, the incident that we talked about was back in 1968 when I was a senior in college.
Important year for the United States.
A very important year, and you have to understand the college that I went to was a small college in central Illinois. Out of about 900 students, there were about 9 African American students.
Not that many.
Not that many.
Yeah.
And it was the students came from mostly rural central Iowa, or central Illinois. And because there were just a few black students on our campus, when Martin Luther King Jr. died, they wanted to do something to commemorate him or to celebrate his life. And I don't remember what they wanted to do, but I remember talking with a few of my friends who were a part of that group.
Sure.
And I said, well, sure, I'll help you, you know. And when I was talking to some of my girlfriends about it, they said, oh, Alicia, you shouldn't get involved because it'll ruin your reputation.
I think that women still think that way.
And so I didn't get involved. But I remember thinking later, I'm never going to do that again. You know, this was a time to stand up, to speak out, to stand with your
You regretted
brothers and
it
sisters.
later.
I did. I regretted it later. And I said I was never going to do that again.
Well, you're certainly not in that position anymore. You're definitely speaking out now. So, and sometimes don't you think you learn from those moments where you didn't do something and you wished you had?
Yes, yes. Because I was sympathetic to the cause. I respected Martin Luther King. And yet, years later, I valued him so much more than I did at that time, because, you know, I was pretty much a little naive white girl in a kind of a rural area
And
of
he
Illinois,
really has
and
profoundly affected our country.
all of our lives, and it's made a tremendous difference, and I value that a lot.
Okay, I have one more question for you, and that is, because whatever the issue of the moment is, you know, it always changes. I mean, it was African Americans, and it was women, and there's gay people, there's you know, maybe Muslims will be the next thing, you know, whatever it is. So for people who are young right now, when they see an injustice, what do you want them to do?
Well, if they see an injustice, they should speak out, because if I don't remember who said it, but if we stay silent about any injustice, then that's the same thing as saying, well, it's okay for that to continue happening. And there's so many opportunities, as I call it, to speak out against injustice. I mean, look at all the things that have been going on in the news just this year,
right,
dealing with immigration and immigrants in Arizona. You know, there's
absolutely,
lots of
there's always going to
there,
be something.
right. And the thing with the with Muslims in the last few weeks, there's been a lot
of
opportunity.
It's all about using the voice that we
right,
have
to speak out on behalf of religious liberty.
Okay, well, Alicia, thank you so much for being my third inspirational woman, and I know that you are inspired by what we heard today, and really I hope that you'll just use your gifts, and because it's really a freedom that we have here in the United States. And if you want any more information about the experts or the tips that were shared today, just go to neadinspiration.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll be inspired this week.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Nead Inspiration. We're proud to bring a new episode each and every week. Stop into Des Moines Motors and see our incredible line of noble cars, electric motor vehicles, and quality pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. We'll see you on the next episode of Nead Inspiration.